Hey Ken,
How's it going?
you know I got a shot.
What?
I got a shot, but not the shot you think,
Oh,
or anything else. I finally gave in, because you and I are biohacking holistic people, right? And after 8 weeks, I just finally I said, Uncle, man, I can't do it anymore. I can't wake up 3 times in the middle of the night feeling like my shoulder is just attached to another human being and they're tugging on it, right? So I go to the Atlanta Hawks doctor, and I was like, this is so cool. I didn't even know the Atlanta Hawks doctor till I get there. I go there and I mean, it's beautiful. There's a basketball court, right? And they, of course, they think, we want to give you an X-ray. I had an X-ray 8 weeks ago, 8, 9 weeks ago. They showed nothing, right? I said, I'm here because I want you to do a sonogram, right? I want to know what's going on in there. So, they go and they move my shoulder in different ways, and I'm just like, and I'm failing. Like, I have incredible strength one direction and none the other direction, right? So they go, man, we got to fit you in tomorrow. We got to figure out what's going on here. Right? So, okay, good. So I go the next day. Two doctors greet me at 10:30 in the morning, and I'm just like, I do my my meditation in the morning, going no tear, no tear, no tear. And they go and they move it in like 7 different ways, and they're like, man, nothing, nothing, nothing. And I'm like, yes. And finally, they go here in the rotator cuff. Oh man, I think I see a couple of tears. I was like, are you kidding me? We're like 6 out of 7 right now. Well, we got to bring the doc in. They bring the doc in. He looks at me. He goes, can I move it around a little bit? And I said, yeah. He moves around. He's looking. He goes, this is just weird. He says, you left here yesterday. We all bet that you had a torn shoulder, right? He says, not only do you not have a torn shoulder, he says, with the amount of working out you do moving those ropes, you got one of the healthiest shoulder caps I've ever seen. Because this is just bizarre. So he looks at me, he says, you got a couple of options. You got about 8 weeks of physical therapy and pain because you're just frozen, right? He goes, or I can give you a shot of cortisone. I said, well, I don't really like shots, right? So, but I've never had a shot of cortisone. My chiropractor already approved it, right? So I look at him and I go, what will that do? He goes, now about 2 to 4 weeks and you'll be fine. Because you got to unfreeze the shoulder to move it. And he said, remember yesterday you said, you asked me, how can you work out? You can do whatever the hell you want. It's like the more you work out, the better at this point, right? So I look at him, I go, a shot, huh? Does it hurt? He goes, not really. All right, what side do you want me to roll on? So it was just weird, and then I think to myself, right, and I go back, and this goes to the health thing that you and I do, right? What healed it? What happened? Nobody knows. Was it ever torn? I mean, I couldn't move it off my waist, right? You think the C60 helped, you think all the pulse helped, right? You think the red light and the hyperbaric. And I started thinking, Ken, we live this life that we throw everything but the kitchen sink at things, right? So what is really working in our life that really heals? Or do you think it's just a combination because you've been in this, you've been in this realm for so long? Do you think it's a combination of all the wacky things that we do that really truly heal us on deeper levels than most people?
Oh yeah, it is the combination because it's not just one thing. I mean, C60, for instance, it's an antioxidant, right? It can do a lot of things, but you can think of it like the antifreeze in your car, right?
Okay.
It keeps the inflammation down, keeps it low, but your car's not going to work if it doesn't have fuel, right? And then the proper oil would be like the vitamins, right? So I mean, all of these things, and then of course it doesn't hurt with the red light therapy and the hyperbolic chambers, something I still haven't done.
You got to
And
do.
some of those other things, yeah, they all work together. But the number one thing is you actually have to work on getting or staying healthy, or getting healthy, being healthy, staying healthy, whatever you want to call it. Because if you're not willing to do that, well, you're going to go nowhere.
Okay, so all the things that we do, how much do you believe, because our minds are so powerful, right? And there are times we doubt, it's like, yeah, man, am I really going to heal this? Am I really, there are moments of doubt. We all have that as human beings. Okay. We doubt, you have something wrong with your stomach or something wrong here, or, you've got something wrong with your eyesight or whatever it might be. And there's moments where we loop and go, man, I hope this doesn't get worse, blah, blah, blah. But how much do you believe that, and like, there's a lot of principles out there that I believe that your mindset's going to get negative at times, but if you have so much you're doing, you're almost, I don't know, trusting faith more and just realizing that the negative thoughts. So what do you do when like you get negative thoughts? What do you do? And this is really important for people to hear, right? What do you do when negative thoughts pop into your brain?
Well, negative thoughts happen, but you got to be careful about negative thoughts, right? What is a negative thought? Because sometimes you can throw away reality. I'm sorry, we're not living in the best of times here. And you've got to make sure that, if there's negative thoughts, they're just negative because of their whatever that is. But then if they're, quote, what people call negative thoughts, because you're looking at things the way it really is, right? And so you got to be careful not to go into Pollyanna mode, I think. And but it's a balance there. I mean, if it was all wonderful, hunky dory, and everyone was happy and all that kind of stuff, that'd be one thing. But we are not living in the best of times, and things are getting pretty damn weird out there. So I don't know. I mean, if you get repeated negative thoughts, you just usually go do something else. Don't sit there and dwell on it. That's my best thing. Go do something else, do something positive, or, get working on something else. And then you have to focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, I do that. I do that when I'm in a negative thought. I think to myself, I'm doing so many amazing things that this negative thought is just, well, it's just reality creeping in at this moment, right? But I'm doing so many different positive things to my body that it's gonna work. There's something that I'm doing, the cocktail, I call it the cocktail of health. That when anything goes funky with me, I will go and do a cocktail. Whether it's hyperbaric chamber, red light therapy, whatever it might be. I just do a cocktail and I throw everything at it. And I think to myself, if I throw everything at it, massive action, massive results. And that's the way that I've done everything in my life, is massive action, massive results, because you never, and I think the human brain wants to pin what worked. What worked? What was the thing that worked? It wasn't one thing that worked. It was a combination of stuff that worked, and you stayed with that combination. And I think that's the biggest issue with Americans in health, is that they don't stick with certain things. They're overweight for reasons, and they don't stick with certain things. Like, they don't really watch, they don't understand. Like, I don't understand why I've been going to the gym and I'm still fat, right? And I said, well, do you look at what kind of oils are in the food that you eat? Oh, no, not at all. All right, well, let's take a look at the packages, and you see canola oil or any type of seed oil in there. You go, well, there's one of the reasons why you're fat. Right? It doesn't matter how often you go to the gym. I said, what you're putting in your body is basically killing you in a different way. And it doesn't matter how much you work out. And I think what people don't do, and this is something that I do, and this is what I was looking at my notebook, right? I have an accountability journal, right? Oh. Where I write down, and I'm looking at it right now, I write down all my trades every single day. And then I write down when I got jittery or anxious, and then if I got out, and in big red pen, I circle that loss, right? Because that loss is based on a bad behavior that I had. And ever since I started doing this 3 weeks ago, guess what? My trading has been kicking ass because I don't like that red circle. And you know what that red circle triggers is when we were in school as a kid. Do you remember getting the test back?
Oh yeah, the red check mark.
Yes. Do you remember like you'd see like the teacher would walk around and you could see like 87 and there'd be a circle around it, right?
Yeah.
Sit there and you'd be like sweating out your thing, and because your last name was with an S, mine's with a W, so sometimes we get our test.
You had to wait even longer.
Yeah, we had to wait longer, right? And all of a sudden, from a distance, you see like 61 with a circle around it, and you're like, oh shit, there's not many people, and most of the people who are ahead of me are smarter than me. Oh, that's coming my direction, right? So it kind of triggers you and makes you, and that's something that I think is a really good system that I've come up with that allows you to see and grow, because we are just programmed from childhood anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's pretty crazy trading on the market these days anyway.
Yeah, you want to talk
One
about
thing you're sure, they'll always pump up the dump. When the market goes down, they will pump it back up, no matter what, and they will never stop doing that until, well, one day they can't.
Ken, I looked at it today and I started looking at charts, right? Because I do credit spreads, right? And I like to do them under the market or above the market. And I like to go under the market, when there's volatility, because there's usually more money under the price than there is above the price, right? Because the market makers don't think it's going to go up and above the price, right? And I'm looking at all these daily charts today, and I'm like, holy shit, that's under the 200-day moving average. Holy shit, that is. Like, oh my God, I can't use the daily chart anymore. So I had to go to the weeklies and the monthlies, right, to go find where support was. And then I started looking and I realized we are at the tipping point. We're not just at the tipping, we're not just at the point where, good night, Irene, and crew is coming. We're at the point right now where shit is going to hit the fan.
Yeah, well, to see, that's what happens when you're not a member of the Federal Reserve Board. You just don't know which way to trade.
well, it was, Ken. I was looking at a chart of Roku today, and I was trying to find support, and I couldn't find anything. Or no, it's Peloton, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't find anything once it broke this line of support about 80 something or 85 or something, whatever it was at. There was nothing till $32. And I had to find that on the weekly, chart and the monthly chart. And I'm just like, have the feds run out of money? Have we hit that point?
I don't know. It's just, it's so bad now. I go to Shadow Stats if you want to get, real information.
What's that?
All the information, what, Shadow Stats?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they did, is like, for instance, on unemployment information, inflation information, they go do it the way they did it in the late 70s, right? That was before the Reagan-esque era. Because during the Reagan era, they just decided some economic value came out they didn't like. They just changed the parameters till it came out the way they wanted. And then the next one comes out, they'll just change the parameters. I call it Reagan-esque. And if you go to shadowstats.com, and you can go back and see the way that they used to, so you can actually get like real inflation rates, or relatively real inflation rates, relatively real unemployment rates. And that's the thing. And then, of course, FASB 56 that the federal government passed doesn't allow you to look at the feds. The government doesn't have to show you the books anymore. So the problem is, you don't have there's no data out there that's legit, that's based on real stuff, right? You have to go dig in and go to Shadow Stats, you go other thing, but whatever the government's spewing out there, unemployment, inflation, this, that, whatever, it's just bullshit. It's just, they just make up whatever they want and they throw it out there. There's no basis in any of it. It's really hard. How do you see? That's what I think work on the market. How do you even know? It's just so that the data flow it's just so bad. You just don't know what's true and what's not.
No, I call it the phony jobs number. There's the phony and jobs number. There's the phony this number. There's all the phony employment numbers, right? There's all these phony numbers that come out. But the real thing is like, when you start looking and you start breaking it down, and most people don't want to break it down because people are oblivious to their portfolio, because my financial planner, runs my portfolio, and I think to myself, all right,
you're in trouble, dude.
You're in trouble. I said, if you own 100 shares of something, are you, and this is what I always tell people all the time, are they hedging? What's that? What's that? You handed your entire portfolio over to somebody and you don't know, are they hedging? Well, meaning, are they selling covered calls every single week, to at least, are they selling? Are they shorting? Are they, are they hedging the market? I said, look this shit up. I said, you have a portfolio. I said, and you're not understanding what hedging is. It's like, and the fact of the matter is that you don't know, well, I don't know where they really, people say, I don't know where they really bought the stock. Well, look, if you bought the stock and it was 100, now it's 250, It's fine if it goes down to 175, as long as you're hedged. But, but if you bought the stock at 175 and now it's 220 and it can go back to 175, you better be pulling that plug. It's like, and I just don't get, people give away, and it's so funny. People work their whole lives for their retirement, and then they hand it to somebody who's accredited, and they don't pay attention. And the person who does it, because they're making 1.25%, regardless of if it makes money or not, right? And the person is saying, well, the market always goes, the market will always come back up. You got to ride it out.
No, I mean, you have to take active, and that I don't actually have anything in the stock market. I have stocks, but that's, for private companies I've invested in. But it's just too much. I mean, stock market's a full-time job if you want to live that world. It's not for the lighthearted. You can make some money on it and you can lose some money, but if you're not paying attention, if you're not active in it, you're just gonna probably lose money, and somebody's gonna make money off you. That's just what's gonna happen.
But that's what people do in their lives. I was talking to a friend of mine today who said something to me. He says, yeah, it's like, I was flirting with this woman, and she's married and she wants to have a little fling and blah blah. I said, how old is she? She was 59. I said, let's put it in real terms, okay? Let's say we live to 80. 80 is a good number. It's always been a good goal, 80, 85, right? I like to push it up to 85 as we get older, right?
Yeah.
But if someone told you at 40 you're going to live to 80, you're like, that's cool, half my life. I said, you got 21 years left. And the problem is those 21 years, you're not exactly as viral as you are from 0 to 21,
Yes.
right? Things are a little different. And I talk to people all the time in coaching, and it's like, I ask them, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You're in a bad marriage, your kids are all grown up. What are you waiting for? What are you wait? Why do people, it's amazing. It's like people will just it's almost like they'll give their finances away to a stranger, or somebody they barely ever talk to, right? They will not take advantage of life on a daily basis. It's almost like they don't want to, it's almost like they don't want to take accountability. I mean, you run into people like that all the time, right? They they act like they have forever.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I got a business to run, and you got to be on it all the time. It's not like, it's almost like a 24/7 thing. I mean, you've got to keep, one eye open, because just when you think everything's going fine, something will pop up and slap you. That's what you got to worry when things are going fine.
But that's what life is. Isn't life
Uh-huh.
just a mirror image of everything else?
Oh
Business,
yeah.
your business. I mean, at 59 years old or 58 years old or 57 years old, however old anybody is, you want to start living your life and not acting like you have forever.
Yeah, because you're on the other side of the hill now, and if you've worked your life for something, well, now it's time to live your life for something. Spend that money that you've saved, whatever it is, and start having some sort of life. Yeah, but a lot of people never, they never live their life anyway. They never had thoughts of their own. They just listen to television, tell them what to think and how to do and what to believe, and and maybe if they they won't be around much longer anyway. So,
It's crazy.
oh well.
It's
Yeah.
it's crazy. Nothing shakes up the humans. It's something that I really feel like, 9/11 didn't shake them up. Coronavirus, shook them up a decent amount, right? But you don't see people losing the weight. You don't see people getting in better shape. You don't see people turning in a better diet. You don't see people going and doing more. You don't see anything. It's like, what shakes up a human being? What shakes up the average person? I feel like sometimes it's nothing. I feel like people are walking around like zombies, numb 24/7 to what life truly is. And to me, that's the one thing about, coaching for so long and then trading stocks. It's like, you got to I look at things day by day. It's like, I almost got to a trade today at the end of the day, and I was thinking, like, what are you doing? It's like, you're really going to get into a trade at the end of today when it's down 7 points. Tomorrow it could be a blood fucking bath.
Mhm.
I mean, this trade will be cheaper tomorrow, right? It's like, it could just be a bloodbath tomorrow, you
Yeah,
know?
but then there's other things that aren't, like the Friday afternoon rally. That's a pretty obvious one. You know, they always
Oh,
like to
that was a
pump it up
pump.
right before the weekend. It's just you could just see it. They're just buying ETFs at the end of the week to just pop everything up. It's gotten to a point, it's just like it's the Wild West out there, just craziness because they're just gonna keep pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping. I mean, what is the reverse repo? Right? You go park your treasuries overnight with the Fed and they pay you this huge, I don't even know what the rate they're paying, something huge to keep down interest rates, right? Otherwise they'll so because they know if the interest rates rise, you're going to have a market decline. So I just don't know what's going to happen. It's just like, but then I know one thing, they're going to pump it till they can't pump it no more. That's just the way it's going to be.
I mean, they're almost at the pumping point.
Yeah. It's just, but I can't predict that. I mean, negative interest rates. I mean, look at they're giving you what has been 15 years, 0% interest on your checking or credit or savings accounts. I mean, you can't make any money there. And so, but then the only thing that's going is equities. And if you put it into bonds, my God, if there's an interest rate rise, and bonds will trash like a dump overnight. So, I mean,
But
it's hard to make. I mean, you're part of the speculative frenzy, or and people have gone into the coins, but I have a sneaking suspicion there's going to be problems there.
yeah, I got a weird suspicion of a lot of things. It's so funny because people think equities, but yet I read charts all day long, and most, like I said in the beginning, most things are below the. It's when you're below the 200 period moving average on the daily chart, you're in go fuck yourself territory. You,
Mhm.
you really are. You're in free fall territory, and you're right. All they do is they pump the ETFs, right? But the individual stocks are slowly moving their way back down, which is really interesting, except for Tesla, which makes no sense at all. The market is getting
Oh.
hammered for the last 10 days, and Elon's company is just sitting there, like just like in another stratosphere. I,
Mhm.
and it's funny, he's quiet now too. Like he is outperforming the market for so long. I'm thinking like, this guy's not opening his mouth. Oh wait, he's part of it.
Yeah, but you got to realize that people aren't investing. Look at GameStop, the whole whatever, or all these other trendy stocks things. I mean, people, it's yeah, I don't know what you call it, irrational investing or something. I just can't. I don't know what to label it as because it's just so like these people are just pouring all this money in their unemployment checks, whatever it is, thinking they're going to make a fortune on the market, and chasing crazy stocks that, I mean, nobody looks at P and E's.
No, they don't exist. I mean, if there's a P and E, Bitcoin wouldn't exist. Um, and then you look at the Bitcoin pump, you
Hmm.
know, on Friday, and then the Bitcoin pump. Did they pump it this afternoon too? Right? Wasn't there?
I'm not paying attention. That's just,
There
I'm
was
just not.
a pump this
That
afternoon.
market is just over. It's highly volatile and overbought. And uh and but the thing is, one thing, they're not just pumping, they're also printing money like crazy, out of control printing. I think they've increased since COVID 40%. The money pie has increased by 40%. And we're starting to see that inflation work its way. Of course, a lot of that went into equities, which will blow out later. But a lot of, you can see the inflation, just people, and of course all the inflation numbers are lies because they don't include food, fuel, and housing. Whoa, what else is there, right? If the washing machine comes out next year, they'll say, "Oh, well, it's 5% improved, so we'll just, now it's only 2% inflation," right? It's
Oh,
just
please,
it's just
please.
all lies.
What are you
And,
paying? What are you paying a gallon of gas in Colorado now?
we're about 330.
I know. Think think about that, right? What are they probably paying in Gavin Newsom's? Did you see Gavin
Oh,
Newsom?
they're like $5-6 some places.
$5 or $6 in some parts of California. I'm paying 289.
Yeah.
Which is reasonable, right? But I watched the other night, because I love watching stuff on YouTube, and I watched Gavin Newsom, with his fake teeth and the whole 9 yards, right? And he's just like, if you have anger, don't take it out on the public servants, take it out on me. This guy, because he won the recall election, right? This
Well,
this
another
this guy's more fucking arrogant than he's ever been.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, like I saw the thing on the recount, they had the votes were going up there, and then 300,000 disappeared from the other guy's thing, right
Oh,
on the live. Where the votes? How you don't votes shouldn't be disappearing off the count. They should just be going up, right? But there it is. The guys were filming the TV because they're running it, and boom, 300,000 votes from whatever that West guy disappear. It's just, I mean, it's so corrupt now.
the
It's so
whole
corrupt.
thing's
We don't,
corrupt.
we don't, we don't even have a, we don't, they always bitch about, the US bitches about, Russia or Syria or Slovenia or some freaking other country, right? How their elections are not fair and free. Well, take a look in the mirror. Where are some of the worst, most biggest corrupt elections in the world are right here. And it's like, well, oh, and they get they run out, their ass gets run out. Remember when Vietnam collapsed, the big, well, they get ran out of Afghanistan. And hell, 2 days after it happened, there's not a peep in the news. It's like
Nothing.
nothing, not a peep in the news that they just lost their longest ever war. I figured they're going to be run out of Iraq soon, pretty soon too. So it's just like, yeah, like the Vietnam thing, they just built that thing was going for decades. Right here, it's like 2 days later, Afghan what? What are you talking about? Don't know what are we talking about? It's just like, but
Does Biden have a plan?
the Biden, no, I don't know. Biden has no plans. Maybe he's got a plan for dinner. He'll just get, but I think the people behind him. I mean, look, three of the people on Biden's staff are, work for BlackRock, or used to work for BlackRock, right? And the rest are CFR, trilateral weasels, right? Maybe a few Bilderbergs thrown in. They're just lackeys of the power elite. And so they're getting their, I don't know, Chatham House maybe giving them the marching orders. I don't know who's giving the marching orders. City of London's City of London obviously giving the marching orders, but who's the intermediate carriers? I don't know. But it's just pathetic. I mean, and they're just the borders are collapsing. This thing is like a doomed ship.
Did you see the bill that's going that they didn't really put in the news? The news didn't carry it at all. It's in the Senate right now that we will not be able to fly domestically unless we have a vaccine pass. Remember, you and I talked about that.
Oh
You
yeah.
and I talked about that back in March of 2020. Remember that? When
Mhm.
everything was falling apart, you and I had a conversation, and I said, you know what? It's a matter of about a year to year and a half before we're not allowed on an airplane without proving that we're vaccinated. And then if you can't prove vaccination, they want you to take a COVID test and make sure that COVID test was the day
Yeah.
before.
But we can't talk too much about this subject anyway because of Mr. AI censors who will come in and say, oh, we can't, whatever. It's getting so pathetic. Obviously advanced antibody enhanced, what is that? Antibody dependent enhancement is happening everywhere. I mean, just go look at this data that's coming back from Israel. What a bunch of tards, man. They're working on their third booster now. It's no, duh, doesn't work, guys. Duh. If you need a booster, it didn't work. Duh.
Well,
You know,
what about the weird rules, that are instituted everywhere? And this is the rule that I always think is just out of fucking control, where you're not allowed on a plane because you may not have the shot, right?
yeah.
But if you're on a plane full of people who have the shot, why can't you get on that plane? They're going to be fine, aren't they?
Oh yeah, that's the logical inconsistency of it. If you got the shot, you're protected, right? So what do you care about who else? Because if you're protected, right, you're protected, right? Right? It doesn't see it, but it's not about that. It doesn't, and there's nothing logical in anything now. I mean, these are just, the whole thing is just one of those great reset bullshit. They released it. They know what they're doing. This is all planned. Didn't happen by accident, and and it's all about control. I mean, look at Australia. My God, what a nightmare.
What is going? We don't even know. Like Australia is like nobody even knows. Like they don't even let things leak out anymore. They've become this like self-contained Soviet Union.
Oh yeah, but it's how can you function? How is your society going to function? How are you going to pay taxes? How are you going to you have to generate economic value to generate real taxes, right? To support the government, support this. How are they going to do this? There's just, how are they going to keep they'll just destroy themselves economically. They're just going to destroy themselves. And because everybody can't sit home and not work. Nothing's going to happen. Well, you create money out of thin air. Well, pretty soon money won't be worth anything. I mean, it's just these people. I mean, it's like an insanity. These people are totally insane.
Insane, insane. Like I have not heard a peep out of Australia in so long. It's like they have locked it down, and it's like it doesn't exist anymore. In New Zealand too, right? They don't
Yeah.
exist from the world. It's like they have isolated themselves from the world. And you know what it's like? Do you remember that TV show Lost?
Oh yeah.
It's like they're the others. It's like, oh, the others. And I've never seen such disdain for fellow human beings. And it's funny, I was just in Whole Foods just now before, right? And wanted to get some dinner and watch the game, and I went in there and they didn't have the free masks, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to use one of the dirty ones from the car, so I'm not wearing a mask. So I walk in, and the looks I get, I tell you, it is just like, sometimes I get looks from people like I am like this villain walking.
So they have to. It's not mandatory where you're at, right? You're in Georgia.
Is it mandatory in Boulder?
No, it is mandatory in Boulder County now.
It
But
is.
I don't live in Boulder County. I'm on Jefferson County now, so we don't have anything here in Jefferson County.
So
But when you go to Boulder County, cross the border there, then you got to go into places. You got to put your face diaper on.
you, but in Jefferson County, no, huh?
No, not in Jefferson County. All the counties around it, but just Boulder decided that they're going to have the masks, and maybe Denver will do the same thing too sometime. But it's just like, give me a break here. You guys are just it's all, and all the statistics are bullshit. The infections, the reinfections, the PCR test is not good of anything. It's just all bullshit. The number of deaths are all bullshit. I mean, we had a big stink out here. Some dude crashed his motorcycle. No, it was a murder suicide out here in Grand County, on the other side of the west side of the state. And before the coroner could even get the paper signed, like the local coroner, the state of Colorado declared them COVID deaths.
Do they get paid?
Oh yeah, they're getting somehow their money. Oh yeah, that's like that. The minister of New South Wales, I can't remember her name at the moment. She had to resign because she got caught getting bribes from vaccine companies.
It's just look, besides the fact that we're not going to be able to get on airplanes, we're not going to be able to go into hotels, we're not going to be able to go into restaurants in certain cities, right? Which is fine because I really don't need their bad oils and overpay for their shit food anyway when I can cook it at home way better. I got no problem not eating out. None. Absolutely zero. Yeah. I ate out the majority of my life. I'm perfectly content cooking my own dinners and making things that taste really good, right? So are we going to have state lines? Are we going to have you can't cross the state line? I mean, where is it going to get? Where is this lunacy going to end?
Well, I think it's gonna burn itself out in the quote, what do they call it? The blue states. They're just gonna just keep like the new governor of New York is a lunatic. This is a blessing from God. The vaccines are a blessing from God. Holy what? That was the new governor of New York. She had this thing where she's telling, Jesus, was behind it all. It's a blessing from God that the vaccines came out. So go better line up and take one. It's just like, holy shit, pandering to the lowest denominator, calling God's all behind it. So you're bad, you're against God if you don't get your injection. It's just like, it's just getting ridiculous. It's getting to be just bad comedy. Yeah, Newsom too. His like they steal the elections and then they just grin, hey, we won. It's they don't seem to understand. It's either, one ballot, one vote. And if you break that, at one point, it's going to become one bullet, one vote. And those the leftists aren't going to find that very good way because they're pretty wussy and couldn't fight. So, at that point, it's going to get pretty ugly. So if they could get stupid people maybe to fight for them, but some people might decide not to. So it's just, no, they're just going to run this thing into the ground. That's what they're going to do. They're just this whole thing is gone. It's like the Romans had that ancient saying, which probably predates them. It's, whom the gods wish to destroy, they first drive mad. So here we are, one crazy, crazy country with just the lunacy on the left and lunacy on the right, right? I'm not going to let the other side get away. They're almost as batshit crazy as the other ones.
Oh,
So,
totally. We're 2 years in now.
yeah,
In November, we're 2 years into this shit.
yeah. And it's, yeah. And it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I really don't care anymore. You know, I'm for whatever, no matter what happens, I'm set up for it. And, yeah, if they don't let me travel, big deal. Right. I can cook my own food. And the thing we ought to worry about is the supply chain breakdowns. I don't know if you're, because I'm in the production business, right? I got to do this. So I hang out with guys, we're down at the plant we're produced because we work at, production, FDA, GPG, good business practices plants, right? So we're out there with talking with the other guys, and there is just a huge supply chain breakdown everywhere. I mean, we're just scrambling to get the stuff we need to keep going, and we don't have that many ingredients, right? We're pretty
Yeah, you
small.
really don't.
Yeah,
Organic oil and
but,
yeah.
but there's crazy stuff going, like the 7-Eleven cans, 7-Eleven bottles, right? If you go out there, a lot of them have red caps because they couldn't get a hold of green caps. The only caps they could get a hold of is red caps. So looks like the bottles are going to have red caps now, even though they're a green bottle, right? And just like some people, you can't get those. Remember the little caps on bottles that pop up if they spoil?
Yeah.
Those are unavailable. So now you just got to have regular caps. And a lot of bottle sizes that people usually have, not available. I mean, there's junk. There's like who knows, dozens of things sitting off the coast of Long Beach or Galveston or wherever they are, wherever it's coming in. New York. They can't get it's like it's not getting loaded. The truck's having trucking problems. I mean, Britain's even worse than that. I mean, they're going to be running out of gasoline and food. The whole Brexit thing and the general breakdown, like the EU. They jacked that Nord 2 pipeline, right? And guess what? Now they have gas shortages everywhere because they can't get any gas. Because the Nord 2 still is. They finished it, but they haven't approved. There's no gas pumping in it yet.
And they have the price of gas over there as out of control. So it's like,
oh yeah, natural gas too. Yeah, these guys have and they're shutting down their nuke plants because they're going to go green, right? Well, okay, you shut down your nuke plants. Well, what happens when the sun doesn't shine? What happens when the wind doesn't blow? Oh, oops. The grid's going to, I mean, they've been having some collapse of grids in China, and it's starting to spread to India and other places, but these grids aren't connected. There's just like this general breakdown going on all across the world. And I can't, and it's not, the breakdowns in India, they're almost out of coal, right? And they're having coal shortages. Well, China, it's like they're having natural gas and also coal shortages, and things can't get to one place and the other. And these are totally two different systems, and yet you're seeing similar breakdown structures, and you're seeing that here too. I mean, go to your store, walk around, look at those shelves.
Yeah, we've talked about that. I mean,
there's whole sections missing, and then look how thick it is. You'll just see a row of products. Usually those shelves are packed all the way to the back.
Oh no, you did. I go behind because I always go behind, and I'm like this, and there's nothing.
Yeah, so it's
the long. And you notice too, the expiration dates are shorter now.
Oh yeah,
because this stuff sat somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. For a while before it got to the store, and it's like, because there's all these glitches, and that's what's just so bizarre. It's like we're at a point in the world where the world isn't going to function right.
Yeah, it's just breaking down. Things are going to get slower, and it's, I can't put my finger on exactly. I mean, it was obviously the shutdowns and everything else like that, and that just one thing, but the system isn't robust, resilient. And so you cause damage, and now it's like the damage is just spiraling out. Little damage here, and then that accelerates to bigger damage, and it's kind of just working its way out into the system. And in our just-in-time, production facilities are that's, and China, they're having breakdowns, because parts, if you have like an iPhone, they've shut down iPhone production in China because they don't have electricity and they're not getting the parts they need to build them. Because this company, all it takes is one part from someplace. It's got 1,000 parts in this thing. You can't get one part, you don't have a thing, right? Then that shuts down. Then that means that part doesn't get to someone else, and it's this bouncing back of things, and it's just yeah, it's weird because it's not confined to one nation, so you can't just say, oh, it's this thing spiraling out. No, it's like happening all over the place.
And that's what causes the price of things to go through the roof.
Oh, inflation too. Yeah, that's going to be, how are you going to keep interest rates down when inflation's going like this? I mean, at some point, they're going to have to, if your companies are going to have to raise money, but how can companies raise money? They've put a giant debt on their backs to buy back their stock, right? To drive up the stock value. So these companies, all these Fortune 500 companies, they have a massive pile of debt, because of their formerly illegal, stock buyback schemes to pump up price. Well, interest rates rise, they gotta, what's that debt's, 1 year to 5 year rollover corporate debt. When they come to refinance, it's going to be 5%, 10% rather than a quarter of a percent. And there's just no way these companies will be able to make the interest burden on that. And it's the same with the treasuries, right? The treasuries, what do they pay you? I don't know, some ridiculous, 0 point something
Zero,
percent.
zero.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, with inflation, you're actually got negative interest rates, but it's still, how are they going to, the US debt's so huge, it's like $125 trillion now. It's not 32 trillion or whatever the BS line they given it to you. No, it's like 120 something trillion. And how are you going to, if the interest rates rise, how are you going to pay the interest on that? There's no way. I mean, this thing is just, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I'm thinking it's coming to the end here.
It has to. It's like the whole world's a giant bubble. So it's like there's too much combustion. They can't keep putting tire patches on it. I mean, it's all, and it is just a lot of ignorance, a lot.
Oh, yeah, but that's a choice that people made in this country.
They do.
You choose. You don't have to be ignorant. With the internet, you go out and learn anything you want about anything, right?
Yeah, but people.
What do? They go watch porno on the shopping channel, right?
Yeah.
or stupid cat videos or whatever it is they're doing. Most of them aren't doing the thing on Facebook, which is, by the way, we were talking about that earlier. Looks like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, they were all down today, and I think most of them are still down or they're not up to full function.
Yeah, and think about TikTok. It's like I talked to my daughter. Always comes up with these fun facts. She's 11, right? And I go, don't tell me. You learn that on TikTok, right? Oh yeah, everything is TikTok. And then now people are just doing 1 minute videos just to sell you that's also, we've become a society where every single thing you see is designed to go and sell you something or to go and help somebody become famous or connected. I watched this train wreck the other night on YouTube. This guy, he's 6'4", 400 pounds, smokes cigarettes, crude as can be, is worth $250 million, right? And he videotapes him negotiating deals to buy a Bentley and other things, and it's just purely egotistical. Well, look how much money I have. Look at my house. This is what it runs, and it's like, and the amount of views he has, it's unbelievable.
That's what people want to be like him or something. I mean, maybe it's this thing, but it's like in the science. I mean, to do anything, you have to study for hours, days. You think about it for years, right? To become good in your skill and art, or just anything really, and even stock trading. But if people have the attention spans lower than goldfish, which is, by the way, a scientific fact, they found the average American school kid has a attention span shorter than a goldfish. I mean, you're just, I think part of it is they've just raised a generation of incompetence or multiple generations of incompetence. And as the older people are, dying off or retiring out, they've got another generation which doesn't have the competency that the previous generation did. And then the next generation is even less and less. And so it's just kind of it's kind of disintegrating. I see this just kind of this sort of social disintegration going on. Look at the quality of service in restaurants, or for getting your car fixed, or for, there was guys, good old mechanics, they could figure it out, they could get it done now. They get these guys, they go to their little classes, but the car is going to sit there forever. And maybe they get the part, they don't even know how to fix things. They just go, we got to order the part, or whatever, order the whole assembly because one part went bad. It's just like,
Well, look, and it's a social disintegration. I think, and we're going to end on this note because I want to make some dinner and watch the football game, right? But it is a social disintegration. It really is. It's like people don't take awareness or responsibility of their stuff. They have no idea, no idea the vitamins they're taking, if they're good quality or not, right? No idea if the food they're eating, they don't even know what's in the food that they're eating. They're just eating it, right? They don't know that. I mean, I love reading labels with people and going, you realize that you put in 3 poisons in your body. What are you talking about? This is like non-GMO. Well, it's got canola oil, it's got sugar, and it's got fillers, right? I said, well, all that stuff is converted to sugar. So
Yeah, it's like that. What is that? Amazing meat or unbelievable meat? You know, that fake stuff.
fake meat, that's made with canola oil.
I know. Yeah, it's just
On
like the
meat.
worst thing possible you could eat. It's just like all this nasty stuff put together to make some imitation of meat. You just better go out and you better eat raw meat. You'd be better off.
Oh, you'd
You
be
know.
much better. People don't. But people like to have that mind. They don't even know. Once again, it's like whenever I tell people, yeah, it's like I got a coaching business and I trade. Oh man, it's like it's like I got a good financial planner. I said he made me a lot of money last year. I said a fucking squirrel could have made you money last year. All you had to do was just go and just buy the crash, and that's all these guys did, right? But I said, your financial planner, I said, I'd love to see what he's doing now. What do you mean? Like this year? No. I said, the end of the year, this year will probably end up being flat, right? Because we'll have some correction. Most of the stuff will end up being flat for the year, right? Even though we've had a lot of growth, right? And most people, like we talked about, they are just amnesia about their life. They don't. And it's amazing, when we talk about this, they don't take responsibility or know what's going on behind the scenes in health and wealth, and even in their relationships. I mean, talking about, 59-year-old friend who's the woman who's coming on to him is married. People, it's like everybody's doing things behind other people's back, trying to like I hate to say this, but I feel like the world is getting over on each other.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, and the other thing is you got to know. It's like on the Boulder Library. Not that it functions anymore. They had a sign. A man who knows, some Tacitus, I think, some Roman. A man who knows only his own generation remains forever a child. And I think if you talk to most people, they don't have a clue about history. They are completely ahistoric, right? They don't. Maybe well, of course, if they learned anything in high school, it was complete BS, or even modern colleges. I mean, you have to educate yourself. So, I mean, if you don't have a concept of the past, how could you even have a idea of the way forward in the future? And what are the popular movies on? But a bunch of cartoon characters, right? They make movies with cartoon characters with the shallowest of plot lines. And then they did a thing on the intellectual the intellectual complexity of music, right? And like in the 50s and 60s, right? The music was they had words and ideas and concepts. It was like running in the 5th, 6th, 7th grade levels, right? Well, today this is actually a couple of years old, but the surprisingly was the country and western music was a 3.3 grade level. But don't feel bad. The rock and roll was like 2.5 grade level, and then I think some of the soul music, hip hop. Yeah, actually, I think it was one of those categories of like Mariah Carey and those things. They were like under a year. They're like kindergarten level songs. The conceptuality in it, the amount of linguistic complexity, and and it's just like, I mean, yeah, that's it. The country and western are the 3rd grader level, and everything else slides down lower than that. And that's the mentality of the people. I mean, if you expect to continue a highly complex technological society with 3rd graders or less, it's not going to happen, folks.
No, it's all 3rd graders. So everybody's looking for the magic pill and everything else. So anyway, Ken, we'll do this again next week before I go see my daughter. Ken's got an amazing antioxidant. We've talked about it many, many times. It's something that, once again, we are firm believers in health over everything else. The more you take for your body, the better chance you have of living through this madness, because this madness is not going to go away. and the flu season is coming. Hello, what are you going to do? Pump yourself with flu shots in addition to the COVID shot? Why don't you just continue to at that point, that's a cocktail I would not want to do. So why not think of health? Health
Yes.
is really important. Look at your health, look at who you are, and see that there's many options. I'm glad you're immunized and everything else, but the fact of the matter is you still need to protect yourself on cellular levels. There's heart disease, things that they don't talk about anymore. There's high blood sugar, things you don't talk about anymore, right? So Ken, tell people where they can find you.
Well, you go to c60purplepower.com. You can go there. That's the website. There's a lot of stuff floating around. They're trying, just like CBDs got bit, FDA is coming after C60. So you got to do your own research and look at it on your own, because a lot of that's coming down on it. So just letting people know, it gets people, it got the big boys notice, and they're not wanting you to have that option anymore. But we're going to continue doing what we do, because that's what we do. So, and you people better wake up. I mean, if you're listening out there, wake up now, because you're going to be a Darwin Award winner here if you don't get your eyes open and your mind working, because things are going to get rough pretty soon, and you're on your own. They don't give a damn about you. In fact, they want you dead. And so if you can't protect yourself and your family, well, that's probably going to go away.
I agree. Ken, I'll talk to you in a second. Say goodbye to you properly. Everybody else, c60purplepower.com. There'll be a link in the description. Pass this on, share it. I always forget to say that. Hit the like button for the YouTube algorithms that everybody cares so much about. But the bottom line is, you can have 50,000 people watching a video and they take no action, or 200 people and 10 people take action. I'd rather have people who take action. Take action with your life. Don't just stare at your life and let your life go by. Your life is your life. Take control of your health, take control of your wealth, and take control of your love life. Which, by the way, and if you're a woman, please stop putting pictures of yourself on a mask on fucking dating sites, okay? We're dudes, okay? Don't put a mask on. Put the mask and wear it as a little bikini. We might like it then. Otherwise, we look at you as like, oh, God, a masker. Anyway, Ken, hang out, okay?